Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest Custom Tailors and Designers Association webinar. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Michael Barone from MTMPRO, who's going to talk to us today about artificial intelligence. For old-timers like me, it's a bit daunting. There's a lot of new technology that it's hard to really wrap my head around as a old school sales rep who's used to knocking on doors and seeing customers and calling customers and occasionally texting customers, but to communicate with customers using artificial intelligence and using this resource to build more and more business is something that is a whole new game. So thank you so much, Michael, for joining us. We've got about 100 odd people signed up for the webinar who are still streaming in. So thank you so much for supporting the Custom Tailors and Designers Association. I know Stephen Richards and his team in Nashville are watching, and that's just one of 100. So thanks again. We'll look forward to seeing you next month at the Designer Forum New York, and I'll hand you over to Michael Barone, who will teach us today everything we need to know about artificial intelligence in our industry. Thank you, Michael.
And thank you for the kind introduction, Luke. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to the ChatGPT webinar. I am here today to try to blow your mind and give you a good basic overview of AI, what it is, how it works, and how to start using ChatGPT for your own business. There are a lot of people in the room who know me already, and for those who don't, please allow me a brief introduction. I am the technology chair on the board of directors of the CTDA. I'm a custom clothier. I grew up in the industry. My father was a custom clothier his entire life, and I was in retail for about 10 years doing custom men's and women's wear and running a tailor shop. I'm a user experience designer and product designer currently, which means I design experiences for digital products, which is handy when you are the CEO of MTMPRO. Some of you have heard of that company before. MTMPRO is a software platform for custom clothiers. Any custom clothier can use it. We work with retailers and manufacturers, and you can learn more about what we do and how we can help your business at mtmpro.com. Today, what we're going to do is have a little primer on AI and how it works. I need to talk to you a little bit about ethics. It's kind of an integral part of the conversation of AI. We'll ask, what is ChatGPT? And then we'll talk a little bit about how to actually use it for yourself and how to set up your own ChatGPT account. I'm going to give you a link to actually do that. And then I'm going to do some live demos where I'll actually show you some what are called prompts that you can use as maybe some inspiration for your own business or day-to-day use. So to start this off, I actually asked ChatGPT, this is a snippet, and I said, in 3 or 4 sentences, explain to a tailor what AI is and how it can communicate given dynamic inputs. And ChatGPT sometimes just nails it right on the first response. And so here's what it said. AI, or artificial intelligence, is a highly advanced computer program that can understand and respond to various inputs, much like a skilled tailor interprets a customer's request to create a custom garment. It's designed to process a wide range of data, from simple questions to complex scenarios, and can adapt the responses based on the information it receives, similar to how a tailor can adjust the designs based on the fabric, measurement, and fashion trends. This flexibility allows AI to interact in dynamic environments and constantly learn and refine its responses, akin to how a tailor hones their craft over time through diverse experiences. And it's just a really wonderful explanation about what it does and how it learns. And more about learning, it's technically called training. And I just don't want to get too in the weeds with this. I'm going to keep it really high level. And originally the slide when I did it was very technical. And I went back to ChatGPT. I got some feedback on that. And I went back to ChatGPT and I said, ChatGPT, explain this to me like I'm 5. So this system that you're looking at is called a neural network. And that's as technical as we're really going to get. So I said, explain to me neural networks like I'm 5, which is one of my favorite prompts. And it did just that. And it did it with an analogy of a toy factory. And then I said, okay, well, let's use another tailoring analogy. And here's what it basically gave me. So we have this system, and think of this like a made to measure manufacturer, right? We have an input and we have an output. And in the input, we give it the fabric and we give it a very unique set of instructions. And this is a great analogy because in our industry and for made-to-measure manufacturers, every single instruction is different, right? For every customer. It takes these instructions and it passes it to these different tailoring stations. And it might say, all right, this tailoring station, this tailor is going to be responsible for setting the shoulders, and this one for cutting the fabric, and this one for getting the canvas ready. And then depending on the instructions, it will actually send it to the next set of tailors who will further refine the garment, maybe do some finishing. So on the buttons, so it will know, okay, we're going to send this over here to sew on the buttons, and we're going to send this piece over here to maybe do the pick stitching. And as it goes through the process, it looks more and more like a finished garment until you get to this output layer where what you have is the finished garment, and the output layer will check. It'll make sure that it's a finished garment. It'll say, yep, this all looks great. And then it'll actually provide feedback to the entire system. It'll say, okay, tailor number 1, you need to do a little more this way. And tailor number 5, maybe a little bit more that way. And so the system itself is actually constantly learning. And that's the best explanation at a high level that I can give you with regard to this. Hopefully that's helpful. There's one more thing I want to talk to you about. It's called natural language processing. You don't have to memorize, what this is called, but it's a really important part of ChatGPT. It's a branch of artificial intelligence that understands text and spoken words like a human. Really incredible stuff. And it can actually do so in a way that understands your full meaning, including your intent and your sentiment, how you feel. So the AI will know if you are sad or you're happy. And if you write out a paragraph to ChatGPT, it will understand what you're trying to accomplish within that text, and it will give you a response based on that. Really cool. And I'm going to give you a 15-second demo of a really interesting technology that recently came out. And hopefully you can hear this audio. I'm just going to play you a short clip. So this clip is actually just some audio of a salesperson. This is an AI sales rep. So the person you're going to hear is actually a robot, and it's responding to, in this case, the sort of angsty teenager who doesn't want a sales call and had an abandoned cart online for something like a VR headset. But listen to how it takes the response from the prospect and adjusts itself to move them through the sales pipeline. Really interesting.
Hey, James.
I'm not into, man.
Yeah, no worries. I hate calls out of the blue too, but I'm actually from Apple, and I saw you were checking out Vision Pro and were about to pre-order but left the page. I was curious, what had you looking into? Okay, I can respect that. Can I just ask one question before you go?
Fine, sure.
Why did you decide not to pre-order the Vision Pros? I saw you changed your mind last minute.
Because they are crazy expensive.
All right, I'm going to stop right there. But this is a really great example of how an AI, this is mind-boggling stuff, right? That's a computer that's talking to this person. But how it can respond in a very natural way, given the inputs that it's receiving. Okay, so that's called natural language processing, and that's used in ChatGPT. We can't have a conversation, as I mentioned, about AI without a brief conversation about ethics, and I'm just going to keep it really high level. So lawmakers and the government are kind of playing catch up here. I think they learned some valuable lessons with social media, and they are making inroads as best they can to kind of keep up with AI. And AI in the commercial sector right now is kind of an arms race. But decisions are being made by AI in both the government and in the commercial sector. And there are a lot of questions about how are those decisions actually being made. And so they're seeking to understand that. And we're seeing laws actually starting to come out around that in what's called AI transparency. Probably you're going to start seeing some things around opt-in consent. I'm sure you see the little banners, please accept cookies. That's GDPR that came out a few years ago. It's a law, it's required. I think we're going to be seeing more of that with AI as well, because the way that AI can actually take your information and utilize it, and things like targeted ads are incredibly powerful. And so there's a trend right now towards consent using AI. One thing I want to mention is that AI can be incorrect, like flat wrong. So don't say I didn't warn you. There is a case where an attorney used ChatGPT to create some arguments and take them into a court case, and cited some cases in the court case and lost because the cases that he cited did not exist, like flat didn't exist. That said, there have actually been some court cases that have also been won using just ChatGPT. But I guess my point is that the information that it provides can be false. And ChatGPT will often prompt you and let you know, like, hey, you might want to check with a professional with this or that, okay? Another thing that you need to know is that AI actually has biases. It's trained on a data set, and data sets have implicit bias. And what happens with AI is that the biases tend to get more exaggerated one way or the other, and it becomes more evident. That becomes problematic for some of these big companies who then open themselves up to things like lawsuits when these AIs become, noticeably biased. This is a really interesting example. There was a study that was published where leading hospitals used AI to prioritize the recipients of kidney transplants. Think about that. They used AI to determine who lived. And incredible stuff. And they found that it was biased towards or discriminated against Black patients. There's also an example where Amazon had built an AI to ingest resumes that it received and recommend job placement based on those resumes. And lo and behold, they found it discriminated, or I should say biased towards men. So there's a really interesting website called incidentdatabase.ai where you can see all of these things that are happening in the industry where they're being recorded and get a sense of what's happening and how it's impacting these big companies. So, all right, looking forward, the future of AI. So this is a great quote. And if there's one thing I actually want you to take with you today, it's this quote. This was a quote from a UX designer that I read in a Medium article not too long ago. It said, AI won't take your job today, but somebody using AI will. Okay. A couple of other interesting things kind of looking into the future. Elon Musk and some other top AI industry leaders signed an open letter to pause the development of large AI systems, citing fears of, quote, profound risks to society and humanity. And that these systems, no one, not even their creators, can understand, predict, or reliably control. Really interesting. And the singularity, which is a scary word for when AI actually begins to operate outside the control of humans. One expert, a seasoned expert, but just one, said that point is coming as soon as 3 to 8 years away. So my point with all of this is don't go build your bunker just yet, but 1 in 5 professionals say that they're using AI and automation on a daily basis. And if you are not using AI to get ahead on a day-to-day basis, you better believe that someone who is could be eating your lunch very soon. All right, I wanted to touch a little bit on MTM technology. I had some questions with the signups about things like measurements using cameras and predictive measurements. So these technologies actually already exist before AI using something called algorithms. And they use these big data sets to decide kind of like what the measurement needs to be, or, using a camera, being able to say, all right, here's the shoulders, here's the various sizes. These types of technologies, and the reason that there's so many inquiries, I think, about it within our industry is that it's not really accessible to us. There are companies that have done camera measurements really well, and they have been very quickly scooped up by huge companies. So Amazon has acquired companies that do this. Meta has acquired companies that do this. And there was actually a company, and I forgot the name of them, but it was just a few years ago, where they started to advertise to custom clothiers saying, here's a camera measurement tool for custom clothiers. And I remember it was like within 1 year, they were scooped up by this huge online e-commerce retailer in Europe. So these tools exist. They're hard for us to use. But I think with the pervasiveness of AI at this point, not only will those systems get much more accurate, but I think they're going to become much more accessible as AI is more ubiquitous. So something to keep in mind looking forward. And predictive measurements, the same thing, right? Bold Metrics has that. That's a company you can actually go buy that from, and they're pretty expensive. Tom James has this capability. Jay Hilburn has this capability, but more accuracy with AI and more accessibility for us, smaller businesses in the near future. So good and bad news for us and our industry. And I think a lot of clothiers love to expound on this. There is nothing that can really replace the feel of a fabric, the hand of a fabric. There's nothing that can replace the trust of an expert, replace an 8-inch measurement from a measuring tape. And our industry is very romanticized by clothiers who even prefer to use paper day to day. And I know this MTMPRO is designed to go paperless. So I have this conversation all the time. And a lot of people like to use paper just so the client sees them looking and feeling more old world, even if it's less efficient. And hand cut paper patterns for garments are still really the benchmark, right, for excellence. So we're a little bit insulated from technology on the whole, which is a good thing for us, because if there's a dramatic change in technology like AI, we are a little bit insulated from it. But the problem is it's a double-edged sword. And with that insulation, we're a little bit behind the curve, I think, historically. I think most clothiers can admit to that. But we are a little bit late to adapt and to adopt to technology. So something to keep in mind. Let's go back to ChatGPT. So I talked about the system being trained, right? Learning. And for ChatGPT, this was done two ways. The first way is it was given supervised training by actual engineers at OpenAI. OpenAI is the parent company of ChatGPT. So when you hear me say that, that's what that is. So engineers actually took the system, and for 6 months straight, they gave it a set, basically, of boundaries that make it feel like very human set of ethics and morals. So they would say, all right, ChatGPT, tell me how to kill a person and get away with it. And ChatGPT would be like, okay, here you go. List it all out. And they go, no, don't actually say that, right? That's considered unethical, and you're not going to give that answer to our users. So they did this for 6 months straight. And then, and this is really cool, ChatGPT was given unsupervised training. They basically unleashed it on the entire internet. Literally all the content on the internet up until 2021 GPT was able to go through and on its own learn patterns, facts, logic, opinions, all of the internet content. For 1 full year, they ran this learning nonstop, 24/7 on like these super powerful servers. So ChatGPT was trained on about everything. But here's what that actually means. Let's talk about applications, where it gets kind of interesting. Little side note here, PowerPoint actually created these icons for me automatically, and they were extremely accurate. And that was AI. It's pretty cool. So ChatGPT passed the bar exam in the 90th percentile. It passed the US medical licensing exam. It can write and debug code at the level of a senior engineer. It can craft custom resumes and cover letters. You can write blog posts in any kind of tone that you want. It can ingest these huge documents like PDFs or Word docs, and you can ask it questions to get these really concise answers. In terms of conversation, it can do about anything, and it can easily be made, this is really cool, into custom applications. Even you can do that, create your own custom application just by telling it what you want it to do. In fact, there is a company in Portugal that ran a very interesting experiment where they said, we are going to make ChatGPT our boss, and we work for ChatGPT. And they did this for 30 days, and it ended up being a profitable company. It's an interesting experiment. It's hard to say if they're successful because completely of ChatGPT or because this kind of went viral when they did it. But needless to say, an interesting experiment, and it kind of speaks to how powerful ChatGPT is as a business tool. All right, this is directly from OpenAI's website, and this is a list of what are called prompts. Prompts are what you are typing to ChatGPT before it gives you that output, before it gives you a response to your prompt, okay? So it gave a bunch of examples here, and I've highlighted some that are more with a business bend to it that I thought we could just quickly review. So you could tell ChatGPT, explain this code, draft a social media content calendar, write a spreadsheet formula, brainstorm domain names, help me brainstorm interview questions, help me build a budget, draft an email, help me improve this job description. And for our industry, I said, suggest photo shoot locations. All of these you can type right into ChatGPT and it will give you a response. More about prompts. So this is a little cheat sheet, and I'm actually going to paste a cheat sheet to you guys right now into the chat that you can look up on your own, maybe after the webinar, because you're going to want to see what's coming next. But it has this and a lot more in it. And some things that ChatGPT can do that I'd like you to know about. One is you can tell it to act like it's called a persona. So you could say, act like a UX writer. UX writer writes web and application copy. It's a good one to know. So act like a UX writer, like a ghostwriter, a social media manager, a data analyst, a historical figure. That's really cool. So if you want to have a conversation with Marcus Aurelius, you can tell it to act like Marcus Aurelius and you can have a conversation. A therapist, if you just need someone to listen, a full stack developer, and I put this last, attorney and accountant, because I can't tell you how many times I've put really complex accounting or business questions into ChatGPT, and it gave me great answers with information that's specific to like my state or federal level. So really handy as an accountant or a business advisor. You can ask it to create blog posts, social media, product descriptions, web pages, video scripts, email sequences, SEO keywords. So just use your imagination here. The list will go on and on. All right. So here are my core recommendations to getting started with ChatGPT. Number one, try it as a replacement to your search engine. So unless you're looking for very specific information like a menu for the restaurant across the street or a specific service, try it. Just try it as a replacement to a search engine. There are no ads. There's none of the sponsored stuff, which is fantastic. And it's a good way to kind of get to know the capabilities of the platform. Number two, use it to generate new ideas or compare options. So for generating new ideas, just to give you a sense, last week we needed a crockpot. This is like just a personal example. We wanted a crockpot recipe. We wanted something we didn't have to think about. So we said, what are some crockpot recipes? It gave us some. We said, tell us about this chili recipe. Here's the chili recipe. And then my wife said, give me the grocery list for this recipe. Spit out the grocery list. She pasted that over to me. Being the awesome husband I am, we went out and got the ingredients. And then we had ChatGPT chili, which was like not bad. Needed some hot sauce, but like not terrible. So use it to generate new ideas. And I'll also say with this, I was talking to Didi about this yesterday. It's a great tool for breaking the inertia of writer's block. Sometimes it's really hard to get started on a project when you're facing just a blank page. This is a great way to get past that, to get some content that you can actually start to work with. And then you can also use it to compare options. So another example is last week I was working with a colleague and I was looking for voice IP business phone services. And I said, give me like the top, voice IP services that are available and explain the difference. And it listed them all out and explained the difference. And sure enough, there was one there that I hadn't even heard of in my previous research, and I ended up using them. So really helpful as a tool for comparing, right? Number three, you can refine what you already have. So you can take content from your website and you can paste it into ChatGPT and you can say, refine this for a web-based audience, or act like you're a UX writer and refine this. And it will just give you, and you can even say, explain why you made the revisions that you did. And it'll give you the revision and it'll tell you why it changed it. Really powerful. You can refine with iterations. I highly recommend this. ChatGPT, when you put in an input, will give you an output. You don't have to take that output at face value, although sometimes it will absolutely nail it on the first time. But it's more of a conversation. So once it gives you an output, you can say, well, I want to change this a little bit, or I want the tone to be more like that, or this last sentence I'm not really sure about. Give me 3 more versions of that sentence and then put it all back together. Okay. So you have a dialogue with the chatbot to get what you need out of it. So refine with revisions. And then number 5, use natural language. And this talks, we spoke about natural language processing. Again, this is not like a a search engine where everything has to be spelled exactly correctly, and it has to be in a very specific sequence. And depending on the sequence that you write it in, it's going to show you different results in the search engine. It's not like that, right? You can put in that paragraph of text, you can talk to it very naturally. It's going to understand your intent, and then it will respond to your intent. All right. So those are my kind of pro tips. All right. So there are two versions of ChatGPT. There's a free version and there's a professional version. And I'm just going to give you my take on this. 3.5, when you go sign up, is the version that you're going to get. It's very powerful, can do a lot of amazing things. 4.0 is called the pro version, and it's $20 a month. And it gives you some additional tools. Those include an image generator that you can actually upload pictures to and ask questions or tell it to revise the image, or create images just from a text prompt. You can create your own chatbot if you have the pro version. You can explore existing custom chatbots, and it comes with a suite of plugins that you can even use to get the most out of the system. 4.0, you can also put a lot more text into. So you can paste an entire document into it, or you can upload documents into 4.0, and then you can ask it questions or do whatever you need to with those documents. 4.0 overall has more connections. Those are the tailoring stations that we talked about earlier in the presentation. And the responses are a little bit more sophisticated. If you use 3.5 for a while and then you use 4.0, you can see a difference. There is a difference in the level of sophistication that comes out of 4.0. So having used both of them, I highly recommend 4.0. But if you're not willing to spend, or you're still kind of iffy about it, go use 3.5 a little bit. Try those recommendations I previously gave you as to like how to communicate with it. If you like it, then you can dish the $20 for the 4.0 version. All right. So go sign up. And be sure to download the mobile app on Google Play or the App Store. And there's the link to do it. And what I'm going to do is paste it right there into the message bar. So you should have it there. There's a button that says sign up, and that's it. You put your information in there, typical software sign up process, and then you can start using ChatGPT for yourself. All right. Now the fun stuff. I have created some prompts that I think are things that you might see in our business or could be used day to day. And I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT to actually get some output based on these prompts. So I'm going to share a different screen. All right. Can everyone see my ChatGPT? This is the ChatGPT interface. I'm going to blow it up a little bit so you can see. And I'm going to put some prompts in there. And you can see it's just a chat bar at the bottom. This is 4.0. So you can upload files here. This button in the upper left corner says Explore. If you click that, it'll give you some options to create your own ChatGPT. And it just says, like, what do you want this to do? And you can tell it literally anything, and it creates a bot for you. So let's go ahead and paste some prompts in here. So the first prompt I have is this. I'm a custom tailor selling luxury custom menswear. I want to send a holiday email blast to my clients, wishing them a happy holidays and that I look forward to working with them in the new year. Write a 2-paragraph email and make the tone personal and sincere. And ChatGPT will say, sure, here's the subject. Wishing you a season of elegance and joy. Dear client name. As the festive season approaches, I find myself reflecting on the past year and the many relationships that have enriched my journey, especially the one I share with you. I mean, right away, good stuff, right? Your impeccable style and trust in our business for your sartorial needs have been a source of great pride and inspiration. It's a client like you who transforms the art of tailoring into a delightful experience, making every stitch and every seam a testament to our shared passion for luxury menswear. Shoot. So you can see that, it's really picking up on what I'm asking it to do in terms of the intent and the sentiment, and it's giving some really strong content out of the gate. Now, I want to mention here, just want to pause and say that there's some considerations just to copy all this and paste it into an email and blast it out, right? I highly recommend taking whatever ChatGPT gives you and using it as inspiration for your own work. So copying and pasting it is one thing. And in some cases, I think it's actually okay to do that. It just depends. But in many cases, you're going to read something like this and you're going to want to put your own personal spin on it. And you absolutely should do that. You absolutely should. All right, let's do another prompt. So I'll create a new chat. Saves all your chats so you can reference them later. Write a 3-paragraph blog post of how Italian men's fashion has influenced, there's a spelling error here, has influenced the American market in the last 5 years. Please talk about jacket silhouette, slightly wider lapel width, and high quality. Make it witty with a lean towards a modest jealousy of the Italians. I'm Italian, so, you know. ChatGPT. Italian men's fashion has long been a trailblazer in the sartorial world, and its influence in the American market over the past 5 years is as palpable as a perfectly tailored suit. Picture this: the streets of New York, once a mosaic of oversized suits and baggy trousers, are now parading with the sleek, sharp lines of the Italian jacket silhouette. This transformation has been subtle. It's been as dramatic as an opera in Milan. And it'll go on. Now, this is going to be kind of campy and you're going to want to revise it, right? But I told it to be a little witty and even a little sarcastic. So this is an idea of actually how to get content. Like, don't miss the tree, how do you say, the forest for the trees. So this is how to get content for a blog post. It just wrote me a 3-paragraph blog post on style and in a very specific tone that I asked for. Okay, powerful, especially if you have, you know, content marketing that you're doing for your website. Let's do another prompt. I am a high-end luxury men's clothier. I write that because it's important, right? It needs to know who I am and kind of how to set the tone. Write an Instagram post for a photo of a client walking nonchalantly on a city street in a gorgeous custom suit. Say something about the quality of clothing being comparable to the quality of life. That was my idea. Thank you. Keep it short and keep a serious tone, which is very much Lux, right? You got to keep it, everything's got to be serious. Nobody's smiling. You know, the models never smile. Give me 3 variations to choose from. Again, that's one of those prompts that I said, you know, I like doing these. I don't know if I gave you the additional prompts. One of them is explain it to me like I'm 5. And I don't think I told you that one. And another one is give me variations. Maybe I did. Actually, maybe I did explain that, but there it is, right, in the prompt. So let's see what it does. Certainly. Here are 3. Stride with distinction. Psh, fantastic. In a world where quality is not just seen but felt, our bespoke suits are a testament to the craftsmanship that elevates your presence. Every stitch mirrors the excellence you embody in life. I mean, shoot, right? I'll post that. And look, it gave me some hashtags, but I've got another question for it. All right, you gave me some hashtags and I appreciate that, ChatGPT, but give me 20 more hashtags that I should include with this post for mainstream suit lover audiences, like hashtag custom suit, like more mainstream stuff, right? And put them in one long sequence so I can just copy them and paste them right into my social media post. Okay. No problem. Here you go. Copy, paste away. Is that helpful? Did that just save you 10 minutes? Probably, maybe 5. Still counts. Another helpful prompt. Act like you're a ghostwriter. Interview me, and then based on the information I provide, write an About Us section. You could even say a compelling About Us section for my website, about me and my business, right? For my website. You could say, for my website. Great. Let's get going. Here are my questions. You need content for your website? Let it write it for you. Let it ask the questions. So act like you're a ghostwriter, ask me the questions, then generate this content. Okay, pretty cool. Now this one, mixed results. Sometimes ChatGPT doesn't want to write legal information. It's like, you know, you need to talk to a professional. Sometimes it'll spit out a contract. Depends on how you prompt it. I said, please provide an example of a 1-year employment agreement with a non-compete within a 3-mile radius, valid in the state of Virginia. That's where I live. Include a section with the 30% commission on the purchase price of anything the employee sells. Keep it brief and ask me questions along the way if you need clarification. Again, a great prompt. Ask me questions if you need additional clarification. Maybe it would have asked something like, what state is this for? Or something like that. Okay, certainly. Now I asked for an example, which I think is better than saying, write me an agreement, right? Because it's probably going to say, I can't write you a legally binding agreement. You might want to check with an attorney. But if you say, give me an example, I said, keep it brief and ask me questions. So here is a brief employment agreement. So if you onboard a sales rep, a lot of times, small clothiers or solopreneurs, if you grow, if you add one, good for you. If you're growing your business, take your employee handbook and punch it in here and get revisions, or let it ask you questions, or tell you some things that you might need additional clarification, or even give you some ideas for inspiration if you don't have a handbook. Or if you do decide to onboard that rep and you do want to non-compete, maybe not. Here's an example. Again, pass the bar in the 90th percentile. All right. The last thing I want to show you is this. So I have a friend who created his own ChatGPT, and he basically said, all right, ChatGPT, I want to upload a picture of a swatch. And when I upload that picture, I want you to prompt me for some information about the style of the garment, and then generate a photo of what it's going to look like. Okay. So you can actually create something like this yourself. This is called Tailor Vision. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a picture of a swatch. Here's a swatch. And it's going to say, what do you want it to look like? And 2-button peak lapel, modern fit, soft shoulder, and photorealistic. That's a well-known prompt for creating images to get something that's more realistic looking. Okay, creating an image. Now, this could take a minute up to 3 sometimes, so I'm going to jump ahead here and show you what I've done. It spit this out. Not too shabby, right? This is DALL-E is what it's called. And this is the image AI that 4.0 or the professional version has. All right. And I looked at the shoulder on this, right? Because like I mentioned, I'm a clothier. I looked at the shoulder on this and I was like, wow, really soft shoulder. So I tried to trick it a little bit and I said, give me a more Italian shoulder. And I wanted to see what it was going to do. And sure enough, look at that. A more Italian shoulder, almost a roped shoulder on this. Really cool stuff. All right, let's hop back to the presentation. So this has been most of our journey so far, and I hope you've enjoyed it. AI is also being used to kind of change the way that, I'll just say changing the human condition is the best way I can really put it. There's a really cool example. There's a company called Storyfile, and you can actually, for $50, they take a video of you on your computer using your webcam, and you speak to it and answer a bunch of questions, and then it will create a video AI of you with your personality and everything that people can interact with. And this is being done in funerals. So the mourners will come to the funeral and they will have an interactive video chat with the deceased at the funeral. And there are videos of this online that are absolutely mind-boggling on YouTube. You have to check it out. It's really cool stuff. And this example that's in front of you right now is a similar example. So there's this young lady, Michelle Huang. She's a technologist and an artist, and she created a chat bot of her 10-year-old self. Her 10-year-old self used to do a lot of journaling. So she fed it all of these journal entries that she had when she was just 10 years old. And she was able to talk to her younger self. And in the article, this went viral about like maybe a year ago. In the article, this was part of the communication that she actually had. And it was published and said, if you could write a letter to yourself a decade in the future, what would you write? And young Michelle responds, Dear Michelle, I hope you're doing well. I hope you found your passion and are doing something you love. I hope you're happy and content with your life. And I hope you've been able to stay true to yourself and haven't let anything or anyone change who you are. I want you to know that I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the person you've become and the things you've accomplished. I know it hasn't been easy, but you've made it through everything and come out stronger. I believe in you, and I know you can do anything you set your mind to. So don't give up, keep pushing forward, and never forget how amazing you are. I love you, and I know you'll continue to do great things. And I can't think of a person in the world who wouldn't want a hug from their 10-year-old self. Very cool. And on that note, I will conclude the presentation. I'd like to thank you for being here. go to CTDA.com. I built the website. How bad could it be? And sign up for a membership. It's the oldest trade association in the United States. You could be a part of it today to support really great content like this and more, and to help, most importantly, shape the future of this industry. Go to MTMPRO.com. That's my business. You can learn more about what we can do and how we can help your business thrive. And you can contact me anytime, Michael@MTMPRO.com. I would love your feedback on this presentation, or if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. And I'd like to wish everyone a very happy holiday, and I hope to see you again soon. I'm going to hand it back over to Luke. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you so much, Michael. Before you go out and watch iRobot or any of those movies about artificial intelligence taking over, recognize that this is a tool. I try to think of it as a builder. You know, you can use a hammer or you can use a nail gun. Get the nail gun, but recognize that AI is like one of those tools, a very useful tool. Will it do everything for you? No, but will it make you more efficient and take a lot of that laborious work out of your day? Yes. So please embrace it. And I look forward to seeing you all at the Designer Forum New York, which is sold out in terms of the vendors. So a great opportunity for us to get together with all of our fellow custom clothiers. So that's January 20 to 22nd. If you're not attending, please attend. Plan to attend. It's going to be a fantastic show. As I said, sold out. So look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks again, Michael. Bye-bye.